The skies are gray, the weather's soggy, the days are shorter, and summer has clearly come to an end. That must mean the end of moto camping for the year, right? Well, not if we here at Moto Camp Nerd have anything to say about it. I'm here to tell you that one of the best times to camp is often overlooked by many campers and moto campers in particular, and that is those shoulder seasons. So I'm talking about spring, and right now, considering it's October, I'm talking about fall camping. So this is 5 reasons why shoulder season camping, fall and spring camping is awesome and you should try it. Number 1 reason is the conditions are mild and more ideal in many ways. The summer is nice because you know it's not gonna rain and the days are long, which is a blessing and a curse sometimes. But in the spring and the fall, if you pay attention to the weather report, you can really get that sweet spot of mild temperatures, 75 degrees during the day, 50, 55 degrees at night. You gotta be a little bit more prepared for colder temperatures while you're sleeping, but honestly, that's also a blessing to me. There's no extreme heat, generally like in the summer, no freezing cold like in the winter. And if you watch the weather report, you can really find some very nice days. You gotta be a little bit more flexible because some days it's raining like this, but you can really carve out some very nice 70-degree days in there if you keep an eye on the weather report. One pro tip though, just make sure that you're checking the weather for where you're going and not where you are, because if there's a time when weather is most fickle, the fall is it. There are fewer to no bugs when it's a little colder outside, no fire bans in the fall. You can finally have a campfire in your campground or even dispersed camping. We deal with that a lot here in the summer. You just can't have campfires basically from June until September. The sun goes down at a reasonable time. There's no going in your tent and putting on a sleep mask because it's 10 o'clock and the sun is still out. And conversely, the sun is not coming up at 4:30 a.m. so you can go in and get a good night's sleep in the dark. It's cooler at night. I sleep better when it's cooler at night. And the best part, you don't need ice to keep your beer cold. When it's approaching 45 degrees at night or in the evening, that beer stays nice and cold. Beer, whatever it is you're drinking. Some people drink soda, things like that. The number 2 reason why fall and spring camping is the best is there's no competition for the best spots. There is this spot along the Santiam River that I love, but it is impossible to get in the summer. There's always people there. They're doing the full 14 days that you're allowed to do dispersed camping. So when we go fall or winter or spring camping, it's the first place we head because it's the only time we can get it. And it's a beautiful spot and I love it. I went camping this spring. I went camping in early May nearby at Calapooya County Park, and I was literally the only one there. I had the whole campground to myself. When can you say that about camping? Never in the summer. You've got to book 6 months in advance, but in the fall and the spring, the spontaneity of camping is back. You can just go and find a spot. There's spots available and you don't have to deal with people, and dealing with people is one of my least favorite things about campground camping. So campgrounds are a million times better in the fall and the spring. And not just the camping part, but just there's less people in the woods. There's less people in the wilderness. There's fewer people out. You're not competing with them for hiking or roads. You're not dodging as many RVs in the woods. It's just a much better time to be out doing outside adventures. Number 3 reason why fall and spring camping is the best is fire is more fun. And I'm talking about campfires only, but 1, you can have it, as I mentioned, there's no fire bans. 2, here's a thing that I love, it's weirdly awesome to me, is that it's cold enough outside that you actually need the fire to stay warm or to stay comfortable. In the summer, it's for ambiance, it's for looking at, it's occasionally for cooking on, but you sit far back, right? Because it's hot and you don't need to be any hotter. But in the winter, and you huddle in around that fire, and it's a great opportunity to connect with your caveman roots and really feel like you're really camping, you're really surviving. Not exactly, obviously, but it's just a different experience having a fire in the cooler temperatures in the spring and the fall when you actually need it. And, since you need the fire already, you might as well cook on it. You might as well bust out the s'mores or cook a steak on the fire or cook hot dogs on the fire. There's more incentive to stay in camp and do stuff. And, it doesn't suck to get close to the fire the way that it does when it's hot out. So I love campfires in the fall and the spring because they're just better to me than they are in the summer. Number 4 reason why fall and spring camping is better is it's generally more laid back in my experience. Summer is more of going places, I'm doing trips, I'm riding BDRs, I'm on my way to somewhere, so I stop as late as I can, camp quickly, pack up and get moving the next morning. In the fall, I go camping to go camping. It is a ride to camp situation. You got to take more gear, and it's just more about getting out and enjoying the camping experience, at least for me. So much more laid back in the fall. I just head up around lunchtime, set up and just hang out. Enjoy the calm and quiet of the outdoors in a way that I don't as much in the summer. There's also not as much to do at camp because it gets dark earlier. So other than processing firewood and making sure you have all the wood you need, you're really just not you're not sitting there feeling obligated to be out hiking or doing something more productive, right? It's just like, I came here to camp, I'm chilling, I have a campfire, I'm gonna crack a beer, cook a steak, and have a good time, and just relax. It's a different camping experience in the fall and the spring, and I invite you to experience it. Just a quick side note caveat, obviously fall and spring camping is not possible everywhere. It just depends on where you live, but that fall and spring, that in-between season moves one way or the other depending on what latitude you live at. And some of you live far enough south where it's the best time to camp because the summer's just too dang hot. But the number 5 reason why I think fall camping is the best and spring camping is the best is because you get to use a whole new set of gear. I love new gear, new gadgets. I love trying out different things. I love using gear in situations where I actually need it. I take a different sleeping bag when I'm camping in the fall and the spring. It's colder. I don't take my whole Diamond Park setup in the summer. It's too big for those camp to ride trips. I don't need it. It's too warm. But in the fall, man, I love bringing that thing, rolling it out and luxuriating in the most bed-like sleep possible on my big air mattress because I'm not on a long trip. I can take more gear and I need it to stay warm. It's just a different camping experience. You're gonna wanna wear base layers, and I just keep them on from the second I leave the house until I get home. You get to wear warm gear like puffy jackets like this, fleece mid layers. I have a pair of puffy booties that Moto Camp Nerd sent me that I wear around the campfire sometimes when I'm camping when it's really cold. I don't know about you guys, but I've collected a bunch of beanies or toques, as they say, north of the border, and I never get to wear them in the summer. It's just too warm, so it's nice to be able to get to use that stuff. Things like the rainfly on your tent is actually useful. You get to use your tent for what it's designed for. There's nothing like sleeping in a tent while rain gently taps on the roof. God, that is very relaxing. So you get to enjoy that. You get to go out and play with tarps and stuff, right? You want to set up tarp shelters when it's raining. Rain is always a possibility when you're camping in the fall and the spring. It's just a whole different experience, a whole different set of skills and gear, and I enjoy exploring that side of camping as well. And probably the best thing is that when it's chilly outside, when it's wet outside, when you're camping in less than ideal conditions, that tent is like a cozy oasis, a comfortable cocoon of coziness. You just crawl in there and wrap yourself up snug as a bug in a rug. There's really nothing like coming from a cold outside, leaving a warm campfire, walking through a cold campsite, and crawling into a warm tent. I sleep better in those situations than I do pretty much any other time. So now that you're convinced, now that you've heard the 5 reasons why you should try moto camping in the fall and the spring, we want to be sure that your fall and spring moto camping trips are successful. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel because we have a shoulder season camping tips and tricks video coming out just for you. You don't want to miss that. And don't forget that Moto Camp Nerd has the best and largest, most carefully curated selection of motorcycle camping gear on the planet. Pop over to the website, check it out. Ben has everything you need to go camping, whether it's spring, fall, winter, or summer. So check out the website. I'm sure you're going to find something you'll love because Moto Camp Nerd has all the gear you need so you can pack small and camp easy.